You are born in a private ward at AIIM's New Delhi. The corridor outside has been cleared since 6 a.m. SPG commandos at both ends of the hallway. No other patients on that floor today. The attending doctor has been background checked more thoroughly than most cabinet ministers. Your father is not in the room when you arrive. He is addressing a rally in Gujarat. His team informs him between speeches. He nods. He finishes the speech. You are 3 hours old and already a national headline. By morning, 300 million people know your name. You didn't cry for them. You didn't choose any of this. But India has already decided what you are. Your first home is not a home, it is a compound. 7 Lok Kalyan Marg. 12 acres in the heart of Lutyens, Delhi. 5 bungalows spread across manicured lawns. Your father's office is at number 7. Your actual bedroom is at number 5. Between the two buildings, there is a corridor lined with gifts from foreign leaders, bowls, paintings, sculptures your father brought back from 60 countries you haven't seen yet. You run through that corridor every morning, and you don't know yet that those objects represent entire diplomatic relationships. There is one entrance to the entire compound. Even cabinet ministers must stop at the gate, hand over their ID, and wait for an SPG vehicle to escort them in. Your grandmother, when she visits from Vadnagar, goes through the same process. She finds it embarrassing. You think it's normal. It's the only normal you've ever known. At age 5, you ask the man standing outside your bedroom door what his name is. He tells you. You ask why he's always there. He says it's his job. You ask if he likes it. He says that's not really the point. That is the first adult conversation of your life. You don't attend a regular school. The option was considered and abandoned quickly. Bringing a prime minister's child into any school in Delhi would mean metal detectors at the gate, plainclothes officers in the classroom, background checks on every parent. The school becomes a fortress. The other children become collateral. So tutors come to you instead. The best ones in the country. Retired IAS officers teaching you civics. IIT professors teaching you mathematics. A retired diplomat teaching you how to read a room. You are getting a world-class education inside a very small world. At age 8, you attend your first public event, a government function. Your father is on stage. You are seated in the front row in a pressed kurta that someone else chose for you. A photographer's lens finds you every 30 seconds. By evening, your photo is in 4 national newspapers. People write about your expression. Was it proud? Was it bored? Was it appropriate? You were 8 years old. You are thinking about what you are going to eat for dinner. You begin to understand something that takes most people decades to learn. In this life, everything you do is a statement, even the things you don't mean to do. At age 11, the internet finds you. Not because you did anything, because your father made a decision, a policy, a speech, a statement, and someone in a comment section decided that you were relevant to their anger. You read it by accident on a tablet you were using for schoolwork. 40 minutes later, you are sitting very still, not knowing what to do with what you've just read. You bring it up that evening. Your father is back from a 3-country foreign visit. He has been awake for 31 hours. He listens to you. He says, people will have opinions. That's what it means to matter. Then he asks you what you had for lunch. The conversation is over. You are 11 years old and you've just learned that your father's way of protecting you is to make you stronger, not to make the world softer. Adolescence gives you exactly one place where none of this exists. Books, not the curated ones the tutors assign, the ones you find yourself, history, philosophy, biographies of people who built things, broke things, walked away from things. You spend hours reading about leaders who gave up power and leaders who couldn't. You read about their children too. The ones who carried the name well, the ones who disappeared under it. You are doing research without realizing it. You are trying to figure out who you are allowed to be. At age 14, a boy your age from a neighboring diplomat's family becomes your closest friend. For 8 months, it is the most honest friendship of your life. He doesn't know how to be impressed by your father. He grew up around power himself and finds it boring. You talk about cricket, about films, about the things teenagers talk about when nobody is watching. Then his father's posting ends. He moves to Brussels. You get one message, Yaar, it was fun. Stay well, that's it. And you realize that every real connection in your life will have a termination date built into it. People come into your orbit because of where you live. They leave because of their own lives. You are the fixed point. Everyone else is passing through. At age 17, your father sits with you on the steps of the Panchavati garden at 5 a.m. He wakes early. Always has. He tells you about Vadnagar, about selling chai at the railway station before school, about a small town in Gujarat where nobody knew his name, and he was just another OBC boy with no guarantee of anything. He says it without nostalgia. He says it like a fact. You listen. You don't say what you are thinking. What you are thinking is this: he built himself from nothing. You are being built from something enormous. And you're not sure which is harder to carry. At age 19, the question of your future becomes a conversation everyone has except you. Politics is the obvious path. The name alone would open every door. Analysts say you would enter any constituency with 40% recognition before a single speech. The BJP machinery would organize around you. The narrative writes itself. Son of a chaiwala who became prime minister, now his son carries it forward. It is a perfect story. You are not sure you want to live inside someone else's perfect story. Private sector feels like an escape until you realize it isn't. Every company that hires you will be accused of buying access. Every startup that takes your endorsement will be called politically motivated. Your name is not just a name. It is a variable that changes the equation of every room you enter. You can't win by succeeding. You can only lose less badly. At age 22, your father's second term ends. The SPG detail is reduced. For the first time in your life, the corridor outside your room is quiet before 6 a.m. You rent a flat in Pune. Third floor, a city where people know the name, but the name is not a spectacle. You carry your own groceries up the stairs. Nobody is watching the staircase. You make chai on a two-burner gas stove, and you think about the railway platform in Vadnaga, where your father did the same thing 60 years ago for different reasons. You sit by the window in the silence. No briefings, no schedule, no SPG vehicle in the driveway. For the first time in your life, nothing is happening, and nobody needs you to be anything. You don't know what to do with that. At age 26, you go back to visit him. No occasion, just a visit. He opens the door himself. He is older. The jaw is the same, but the pace is slower. The house in Delhi is quieter than 7 Lok Kalyan Marg ever was. He makes you actual chai, on an actual stove. And you sit across from him in a kitchen that feels almost ordinary. He asks about your life in a tone he probably learned from summits and state meetings: precise, attentive, slightly formal. You realize he does not know another register, that perhaps somewhere, in 30 years of being the most disciplined man in India's public life, the informal version of him got very quiet. You drink the chai. You don't ask him whether it was worth it. You already know he would say yes. And you already know that the honest answer is more complicated than yes. You are the son of Narendra Modi. You grew up in a 12-acre compound in Lutyens, Delhi, with one entrance and 40 commandos. You had tutors instead of classrooms and schedules instead of summers. You watched your father address a billion people and then watched him sit alone in a kitchen, not knowing how to talk to his own son, without sounding like he was chairing a meeting. You carry a last name that was built from a railway platform in Gujarat through 50 years of absolute discipline. You didn't build it, you inherited it, and in India, inheriting something that large doesn't make you powerful. It makes you permanently answerable to it. Maybe you go into politics, maybe you don't. Either way, every article ever written about you begins the same way, with his name, and ends with the question, but who are you? You are still working on that answer. And in this country, in this family, that might be the most honest thing you have ever done.